Welcome to this week's edition of After the Whistle. I'm Abby Perkins.
And I'm Mitch Perkins.
For tonight's show, we have highlights of this weekend's main event, Super Bowl 51. And of course, a look at the reasons some people even watch, the commercials.
Also, we have guests from GVSU's football team, Evan and Scott, to give their perspective on the big game.
Also, we have coverage on men's basketball and National Signing Day. Super Bowl 51 turned out to be one for the books. CNN news source provided us with some of the highlights.
He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
The New England Patriots becoming Super Bowl champions for the fifth time, beating the Atlanta Falcons 34-28. The roller coaster showdown was a game of firsts. Tom Brady becoming the first quarterback to win 5 Super Bowl titles.
Bringing this sucker home! Tom Brady!
And the big game itself, the first ever to require overtime. The Patriots also securing the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history. Atlanta's stunning loss coming after a strong first half and leading New England 28-3 midway through the third quarter. The game's outcome leaving Patriots fans ecstatic.
That was the craziest thing I've ever seen. This is the best thing I've ever seen.
And Falcons fans dejected.
Hey, Atlanta. It's not a good night.
Brutal, man. It's brutal.
I'm sad. I'm really sad.
But the game was about much more than just the comebacks, tackles, and touchdowns. Halftime was a high-flying musical blowout featuring Lady Gaga. And the spectators were joined by VIP guests, including former President and First Lady George H.W. and Barbara Bush. Bush carrying out the official coin toss. And after the game, reaction from President Donald Trump. Trump writing on Twitter, "What an amazing comeback and win by the Patriots. Tom Brady, Bob Kraft, and Coach B are all total winners. Wow." I'm Reed Binion reporting.
During Monday's press conference, Tom Brady, Patriots quarterback, appreciated his team's journey to the Super Bowl and the Patriots' overtime victory over the Falcons.
They have all come down to the end, and that's okay as long as you win. So it keep them exciting, and I wish we could get away from someone. We just haven't played well enough to do that. But we played well enough in a lot of these situations late in the game to get the job done, and we were able to make just enough plays last night to get the job done too. So it was just a great performance by a great team against another great opponent that I have a lot of respect for, and I give them a lot of credit because they gave us all we could handle. And but I'm just glad we won.
While football fans watch the game, many tune in to watch the commercials. This year's turned out to be more on the serious side, promoting messages of unity and subtle political tones. However, this Hyundai commercial was the perfect conclusion to an unbelievable game. Let's take a look.
Maneuvers within the pocket as well as anybody. Not a threat as a runner. 3rd and 1 and
I've got my wife Emily, my 4-year-old daughter Hadley. The hardest thing about this deployment, can't really explain it too well, just daddy's got to go to work again.
I have my fiance Danielle and my 2-year-old son Liam. They're just the world to me. It's tough for him to understand because he's used to me just being there.
I'm Corporal Trista Strouch. I've been on about 4 years now. Being away is pretty rough. I'm just worried about my son growing up and missing daily things that he does.
With such an interesting night, there's a lot to talk about. So here we have two of our own Laker football players Evan and Scott, alongside myself and After the Whistle correspondent Colby Schmidt to break it all down. Welcome to this week's opinion piece on After the Whistle. With us today we've got Evan and Scott, two GVSU football players here to talk about the results of Super Bowl 51. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure to be here.
So after last night's monumental game, what are your opinions on the Falcons and the Patriots in Super Bowl 51?
Well, I certainly thought it was one of the best Super Bowls of all time. I think the Falcons certainly showed promise. I think that was clear to see. But I think that was just the classic case of can't turn the ball over, especially in big games like that. After that turnover in the fourth quarter, the Patriots, the great team that they are, were able to take advantage of that. So I think after watching the game, that's what I came away with and what I noticed.
Don't want to give Tom Brady too many opportunities, that's for sure. On the topic of Tom Brady, he is now the NFL leading most Super Bowl wins, most Super Bowls played in, and most MVPs in a Super Bowl. Is he deserving of the greatest quarterback of all time?
Yeah, I certainly think he has solidified himself as the greatest of all time. I mean, his success, he's got the most of it in several different categories. So I think him, along with Bill Belichick, I think Bill Belichick's the best coach, and I think he's the best quarterback. So that duo has proven to be disastrous to teams, and we'll see if it can continue.
Yeah, Tom Brady, in my opinion, is number one. I wasn't able to watch everybody else ahead of him, obviously, but from my own experience, Tom goes out there and controls the field like no other, and he has such good preparation that teams, you can't give him 2 weeks. So.
Also, this is the first Super Bowl that went into overtime, and I wanted to ask, do you think the Falcons blew it or the Patriots won it? I mean, surely there was that turnover when they dropped back to pass on 3rd and 1 in the fourth quarter, and the Patriots took advantage of that. But what are your guys' opinions on that?
It's hard to say, but I think I want to give it to the Patriots. I think 25 down. That's a huge fourth quarter deficit. But the Falcons had their chances too. But 25 down. that's incredible. So I got to give it to the Patriots.
I think each team is going to say that they lost. The Falcons are going to say they lost it. The Patriots are going to say they won it. I'm going to have to stick with the Patriots as well. You come back from that kind of deficit and things. It's a hard thing to do. So. All right. In conversation with that being the first overtime game in Super Bowl history, what are your guys' opinions on the overtime rulings of the new rule changes and the way that played out with the Falcons defense having to go back-to-back drives being on the field?
In regards to the rules, at first, I never really, going into the game, I never really thought about the overtime rules till it was happening. And at first I thought I would have preferred the college rules, but the thought that they have to go the entire length of the field, at the end of that drive, I was kind of thinking to myself, I think this is fair. I think these rules are fine. So, tough task for the Falcons, but that's the way it goes. They had their chance to win it. They didn't. The Patriots took advantage of it. So that was just how the game ended.
I think there's a lot of people that want to give the Falcons another shot, but when you drive 80 yards and however many plays that they had, you go down and you win that game. The Falcons do have another chance if they kick a field goal. So all you have to do is stop them, have them kick a field goal, and you get the ball back. You can still win that game.
I also wanted to point out the Patriots had to go for 2 twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I believe that's all the time we've got here for our opinion piece. Thank you, Evan, Scott, for joining us here and talking a little football. The Laker men's basketball team lost to Ferris State Monday night after taking an early 7-2 lead. The Bulldogs dominated the first half, forcing 9 Laker turnovers and putting Trevin Alexander in foul trouble early. Chris Dorsey ended the half with a buzzer beater, but the Lakers fell into a 25-point deficit at the half. Drake Barr and Justin Grayson each had a big offensive night, but it fell short to the Bulldogs, who had 6 players score in double digits. The final score was Bulldogs 98, Lakers 73. Coach Rick Wesley is ready to move on from the loss and is preparing for the next road trip.
It is what it is. It's what we signed up for. It's the sport we're in. It is grueling. It's tough, but we're relatively healthy, and we just got to regroup now, go on the road, and get to see if we can't come, get a better performance.
On Wednesday, February 1st, high school seniors celebrated officially signing to play NCAA football. During National Signing Day, GVSU signed on 31 athletes to join the Lakers for the 2017 season. According to online publication Hero Sports, Laker football is ranked as the top program in Michigan when factoring in winning percentage, national championships, and Coach of the Year awards. Grand Valley football head coach Matt Mitchell spoke on developing new student athletes' college careers.
Yeah, I think we talk all the time about recruitment is really important. It's the lifeblood of your program, but also development. So we're getting ready to head into that stage with all these guys. They've signed on the dotted line. It's official. They're transitioning out of high school. Now they're starting their college careers. And so I say this all the time. Don't let your signing day press conference be the highlight of your collegiate career. And a lot of that falls on the development of the student athlete, development in our program in all kinds of ways, physically, mentally, from a football positional player things, that development is just starting. So we have a long range view. I think that's what the unique thing here at Grand Valley State in D2. It's not, immediacy just caring about 2017. We have a long range view. And when you view a person's career as that, and they're all in on that, then that's usually why you get good dividends at the end. We'll also continue to look to recruit and augment our roster here after the signing day too. We've had a long history of success of transfers. We will field phone calls from kids, coming from some other institutions to take a look at why they're leaving and if they're a good fit, and if we feel like it's going to work for us, we'll take a look at that. So we're not done yet. You talk signing day, everybody sigh of relief, the thing's over. Our roster, I would say 95% of our roster is set for 2017, but we're still looking. We're still looking to try to add and augment that thing all the way up until the first day of fall camp.
You can find a full list of new recruits on GVSULakers.com. The Lakers will begin spring ball in March, and the first home game for the 2017 season will be against Davenport University in early September. Well, that concludes this week's show. We'd like to again thank our guests, Evan and Scott, for coming and sharing their valuable opinions.
And we'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to keep up with us when we return next week with more of the week's top sport highlights. For After the Whistle, I'm Abby Perkins.
And I'm Mitch Perkins.